So finally, Camille's made her debut after a long, long, long awaited journey of sitting around and doing nothing for the last 5 or 6 months. Since being signed in February, Camille has finally made her long awaited debut. AEW finally gets to add to their women's division. And let's just break it down. So Britt Baker beats, I believe, Sheeta. She made her tap or submit or whatever. Just put her mouth, she put her hand in her mouth or whatever. And so she tapped out. The match ends, and out of nowhere, unprovoked. This is so weird. This is what makes it such a weird transition. Out of nowhere, because Mercedes supposedly wants nothing to do with Britt Baker, but out of nowhere, Mercedes comes in and she's trying to do the whole cowboy theme, southern themes. She's got on southern type clothing. Oh, she's got a cowboy hat on, all right? That's really it, and some boots. And I'm just gonna be real. She looks like a fucking stripper every time, and especially when she does her dance, she just looks like a fucking stripper, man. She's there's just no way you look at that woman and go, professional wrestler, beats people down. And this is gonna sound more interesting later. It gets more interesting later, but it's just she looks like a fucking stripper. But either way, she comes out of nowhere unprovoked, and she just says, "You're never gonna get a chance at this title." It's the same crap, She's scared of Britt, but for some reason she's provoking her. And then out of nowhere, Kamille is behind Britt, and she just boots the fuck out of Britt. So she makes her official debut, essentially aligning herself with Mercedes Mone. And then eventually, Kamille just does this awkward torture rack thing, and as she has Britt Baker on her back, she just starts jumping around. It looks so goofy. She just starts jumping around, and it looks so fucking funny and goofy, and it kind of makes no sense. And whatever, she finally slams her though. And after she slams her, out of nowhere, there's Mercedes, and they're in the ring together, and she puts Mercedes' hands up, and this was so weird because Camille's being built up as huge and big, and she kind of is big. She's 5'10" or something, and pretty big for a woman. She's pretty tall, and she's pretty jacked. She's jacked, she's a bodybuilder. She looks real jacked, and Tony Schiavone makes mention of this, but right next to her is friggin' Sasha, who's not big, by the way. She's really skinny, and she doesn't look like a real wrestler, okay? She doesn't look convincing in any capacity, but you have Sasha right next to her, and Sasha's got on these 4 or 5 inch heels, these boots, and she's the same height as Camille. So Camille's all this talk about, oh, look at how big she is, look how legitimate she is, and little bitch, little skinny bitch, Sasha Banks is just right next to her, just about the same size. It ruined her commanding look, But Sasha Mercedes Mone, she's just wearing these giant fucking boots. So I don't know. The announcers kind of looked stupid saying that because they're basically the same height. And the camera positions didn't help either. The camera did not really help Camille look like this mega monster woman. And I don't know. I wasn't really into this, man. I just wasn't really into this because they're pretty much just doing the HBK Diesel gimmick. That's the whole thing. Once again, AEW loves to do this. They did it with MJF and Wardlow, and I get so tired of it. I get so tired of this gimmick, man. I think most people get tired of this gimmick. And you know why we get tired of it? Because it's not real. It's not convincing. Imagine you're running a fight promotion and you have this giant woman who's a legit powerhouse in Camille, 5'10", bodybuilder, wide shoulders, looks like a beast. And she's supposed to be looking after literally as someone who looks like a stripper. To be honest, Sasha Banks she's 105 pounds, 110 pounds soaking wet. She's not tall. She's really skinny. She looks really petite. And Sasha's the better wrestler in this case for some reason. Sasha's built up as the bigger, better wrestler, and Camille's her bodyguard. It just doesn't make any fucking sense at all. No fucking sense. Look, we'll end it off in a little bit, but here, it's still. If I was Camille, would you rather be in NXT right now, or would you rather be in AEW, at least on the main roster, working with Britt and Sasha Banks or Mercedes Mone? I think, would you rather be in NXT, as one of the filler women? And not filler, I guess, because it's not really fair to say, but, and we should put it out there. NXT puts a lot of time out there for their women. The women get a lot of time in NXT. They get a lot of emphasis on that show. But I don't think she'd really work there. I don't think she's needed there. I think being on NXT for her would maybe just not work because it doesn't seem like a lot of those women coming out of NXT are landing real opportunities on the main roster. Go ask Kiana James. I'm blanking on the other one, the Scottish one who's on SmackDown. I don't even know if she's Scottish, but either way, there's another NXT girl who got signed for SmackDown. They just don't really do much, you know. Valkyria right now is getting the most out of what's been there, out of what's got brought up, and I'm glad for this reason Roxanne Perez hasn't been brought up, because it's like there's no real room for these women, you know. There's just no real room for these women right now, which is weird. There should be, because the main roster women kind of stink, but I don't know. The NXT women come up and they don't really get over with the fans. Like, the fans don't really care about them. Remember when Bayley came up? Everyone cared about Bayley, but no one cares nowadays. Kiana James, all these other women, no one cares. Like, they're not interesting. So maybe in her case, it'll work. Maybe if she gets over in AEW in the same way that Stephanie Vicor got over at CMLL, and eventually at Forbidden Door with AEW, maybe she'll get noticed that way, and maybe the Federation comes for her and they give her a real spot and real legitimacy off rip, like they're doing with Julia and Stephanie Vicor. I think that's actually maybe a better route for women now. I don't think the route's going to be go to NXT and organically get yourself over, because it's just way too many women, and none of them actually get over. You know, none of them are real stars. They're WWE stars. They're in their own right WWE stars, in their own right WWE products, but they're not real products. You know, so I don't think this hurts for her. I don't think it hurts to go make your name out, you know, in AEW for a couple of years. But this storyline kind of makes no sense, because, again, Sasha Banks is so unconvincing as a wrestler. She's so little and petite, and then to pair her next to someone who actually looks dominant, looks like a real dominant woman, kind of makes no sense. It kind of doesn't work, and sort of brings her character down a little bit, Camille. But this is interesting nonetheless.